Hi, we're here today to talk to Backner about her role at Decentraland and what that means for you as a photographer. So, welcome, Bay. First of all, tell me a little bit about what you do. What's your job?
I'm head producer and curator at a virtual world called Decentraland, which means that I work with many artists and studios on 3D installations, immersive experiences, lots of the kind of future of art within virtual worlds and gaming environments.
Cool. So, for anyone that doesn't know, can you tell us a bit what is the Metaverse?
Oh, that's a great question. So you ask different people, they'll all give you a different definition of the metaverse. I subscribe to the definition that a metaverse is a virtual world with consequence. So it means that the things that you're doing within that virtual world actually have real world impact on your career, on your creative practice, on the things that you want to do as a photographer. For photographers, it's a game if you can't get involved, if you can't show your work. It's a metaverse if it's a virtual world that actually you can be part of and start using as a channel for your work. There's lots of different definitions. We all kind of argue that there isn't something called a metaverse. There's something called the metaverse. Just like there's the internet, we would say that all the virtual worlds that you can use in that way, they come together and make what we call the metaverse.
Okay, interesting. So it's not just a gaming thing or a virtual reality thing. It's kind of like a mix of all these different things, spaces, worlds coming together, right?
Yeah, so you can imagine basically a 3D internet. The internet itself is 2D. It allows you to display 2D works, writing. You can't really explore a website in the way that you would a physical environment. So you imagine all of that translated to 3D spaces, and that's what we roughly call the metaverse.
Awesome. That's really interesting. I'm sure most people have sort of come across the term, but perhaps don't exactly know what it is. So you've been putting on gallery shows, exhibitions, fashion shows, music events. That's right.
Yeah.
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 And more. I mean, how does that work? How do you put on an event in a virtual space like that?
Oh, very much like you would in a real world space. You have some things that are easier. So, for example, you have unlimited space. I can create installations. Decentraland is quite interesting that it's a user owned world.
Okay.
So, there's 90,000 parcels of land that are owned by different people. Some of them are owned by the Decentraland Foundation, which is who I work with. And we create large scale events on these parcels. Each parcel is 16 meters by 16 meters of virtual space. So we can kind of expand across what we call Genesis City, which is this place itself. Although people can own their own worlds as well, which again are much bigger parcels that they can expand across. So yeah, space isn't as much as an issue in real life. But then you're working with events across multiple time zones. You're working with people we work with 200 different countries in the audience that comes to the events.
Wow.
So thinking about things that work across cultures.
That's super interesting, actually, yeah. So there must be some challenges that come up with that. What can you think of any recent ones that?
Oh gosh, time zones is always a major problem. We tend to repeat things twice. So a live event becomes repeated twice because obviously you have the whole of Asia Pacific and Europe, and then you have the whole of America, which are our main pools of attendees. So we have to make sure that we're not preferencing one time zone over another. We have to make everything accessible to people in different languages. English is our main language, but we do a lot of work with Latin American communities as well, Spanish language communities, all of these different things about how you bring an international audience together.
Oh, amazing. So that brings us to your next show. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, so it's Decentraland Art Week. This is the third year I've curated, and I think the fifth or the sixth version that we've hosted within Decentraland. It's the big arts festival in Decentraland, so I'm working with 27 different artists all doing 3D installations.
Oh, wow.
Galleries on top of that, community activations, so I think we have another 7 galleries from what we call the community. people that decide, I actually just want to open something on my Decentraland land for this event. And obviously I bring them into the event itself. So you can imagine it like
so
Edinburgh.
like a fringe kind of thing. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
So we often liken it to Burning Man or Edinburgh Festival, that it's very much an open way of participating in an arts event. We talk a lot about decentralization, so tech that's distributed and it's not owned by one entity. So it tends to be that we try and do the festivals in that way as well, allow people, if they want to participate, to really give enough information and allow people to get involved.
Excellent. And presumably then, because it is, you know, in a virtual space and it's all over the world, there's actually fewer barriers for people to take part in a way. Is that something you've come across?
It's a really good question. It depends how people want to get involved. So what we see a lot is people starting with something that they just want to exhibit. So they join us for one of our gallery shows or for the open call that we've done with DIY photography. And then it tends to be when people get hooked, they want to start building their own 3D installations. They want to learn Blender. They want to start actually really getting under the hood of what's possible in virtual worlds. And that can become obviously quite complicated if you want to start from scratch and starting doing that. But Decentraland have, for Art Week itself, I'm releasing what's called a template.
Okay.
So we've got a new thing in. So when you start building Decentraland, there's somewhere called Creator Hub. So you can literally start just dragging and dropping things into a.
So it's a bit like Minecraft.
Exactly.
Those of you with kids will understand.
Yeah. So think about Minecraft,
amazing.
A little bit more high res, that you can do more things. And so we're building a template of a gallery. So even if you can't build, you can drop that into a parcel of land and start hanging your own works in there. So
that's really cool, actually. Yeah, it's like a DIY. There we go.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it is quite a liberating space to be in as well, isn't it? Like you've told me before about like some of the crazy like outfits people like to wear. Can you tell me about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's really interesting because working in virtual worlds is like we're trying to understand a whole new media platform. Like how in a 3D environment do we as avatars move through that environment and start communicating with each other. And what we call wearables, or you might have seen them as skins in video games or assets you can collect, they become a really big part of how people interact with an art show, a photography show in a virtual world, because you can change your outfit instantaneously depending on what you're seeing.
A bit like a chameleon.
Totally.
No way.
Totally. So if you imagine in real life, you go to an art gallery wearing one thing and not many people are going to do a costume change.
I mean, I don't tend to.
No.
But, you know, and maybe if it's your own show, you might, I suppose.
Yeah. Maybe.
You're being a bit main character.
It's like there's a main character energy coming through in attending photography shows. But in virtual worlds, you obviously have what we call a backpack, which has got all your wearables, or your clothes, or your skins, and you can just change that instantaneously.
Oh, that's quite cool.
Yeah, we get a lot of artists who start playing with that in their work. So 4 of the artists that are creating installations for Art Week are also creating wearables about the installation, so that when people go, they can dress in the wearables in the installation to have another layer of meaning going on with the art.
Yeah.
And also we get a lot of people dressing inspired by the art.
Oh, wow.
So selfie culture is huge in virtual worlds. We're all on socials, so it tends to be that people will go as their avatar, dress to complement or have a conversation with the artwork, and then take selfies of the avatar with the artwork, and then publish those as almost like another art response.
Yeah, exactly. It's that responding, isn't it? That's actually really cool, and something like you say, you don't get that in the real world.
No.
So on that subject then, talking about how you get 2D photographs, say, to work in a 3D space, have you got any pointers or?
Yeah, it's a completely new world, and because a lot of people come from video games, they don't expect things on walls or background images to have importance. We're really used to being in a video gaming environment and just things passing by, and we care about the moving things and the things that have you need to shoot or you need to do, but we don't care really about the ambient world.
Interesting.
Yeah,
and yet that takes an awful lot of effort, doesn't it, for You know, because I've met video game artists that is their job. They are responsible for creating that artwork. So it's a huge thing.
Absolutely, but each individual asset is contributing to a mood, it's contributing to a feeling. You know, we have the music, we have the assets.
True.
And it creates almost like, it creates the environment, but you don't, unless something's important to the gameplay, it passes you by. It just becomes adding to what it feels like rather than you thinking that needs to be noticed.
Yeah.
And so there's a visual language in video games about things that need to be noticed. Like they flash, or we call it wayfinding.
Yeah, they've got a little arrow over their
exactly.
head.
And we're pointed to them, like these things are important.
Okay, yeah.
And we don't do that in gallery shows because we know, like, there's the social cues if you walk into a gallery and you're there to see those pieces of art.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can replicate that in the virtual world, but you'll see if you come to anything in Decentraland, people's interaction with that is super duper different. Like the first gallery show I put on, I was really surprised that, one, the wearable culture, so people changing to be interacting with the works, but also the parkour culture.
Oh, no way.
Yes. So if you hang a work slightly off the wall, people will start using it as a parkour course.
What to jump on?
Yes.
So no, you definitely don't get that in art galleries in the real world, do you?
So it's these kind of interaction things that come from video games and then start informing what we do with the work, how we make it seem important, how we then create an environment around the work to complement what an artist wants to say, potentially with a 2D piece.
Yeah.
So it's all of these interactions that become this another layer on what we do with art within a virtual environment.
I was going to say, it's much more almost cinematic, the levels that you can go to. Are you also sort of curating music to go with the artworks as well and the general kind of atmosphere?
Yeah, absolutely. So soundscaping, how an artwork appears as well. So something we're playing with the DIY photography curation is how I will show some shots of this, but how you enter the gallery, like, is the artwork already there? Does the artwork appear? How does the artwork appear? Like, how, in what relationship is it with the scale of the avatar and the scale of the artwork? Because obviously there's no limits. You could make it an infinite artwork with a tiny avatar, or you could make this artwork to be tiny at the scale of the avatar. So all of these things about how you display a JPEG are sort of being built into these exploratory experiences.
And that's so interesting from a photographer point of view, because we're kind of like, JPEG final output, certainly as digital artists. Okay, if you're exhibiting a big gallery display, you're going to go through the print process probably, which is, you know, its own thing in itself. But this is almost more akin to that, isn't it?
It is, but then with the print process, you know, both of us are artists. We know like how much a print costs if you're trying to get anything at scale. And on a virtual world, the scale is infinite. It's only about...
Oh, that's true. You could have a whole building, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could have a rotating building with a whole thing. You could have a billboard that is your floor or your ceiling, or you wrap it around a whole environment. So these decisions are not, they don't become physical cost decisions. They become absolutely about the work itself and how the work should be displayed in relationship to the scale of the avatar, and more than one avatar. Because you imagine you have a crowd of avatars coming into a space. How does the work then work there? Like, you know, does it move? Is there a way of it sweeping across the flow of the avatars? Does the work change with the avatar's movement? We've had installations where a sculpture, so a way in our fashion week, we had an artist creating a sculpture, and then when an avatar came into the room, the sculpture would turn into the avatar. So there was a sculpture room full of sculptures, and then when the avatar moved through them, the sculptures turned into the avatar themselves.
No way.
So you have this interaction between the work taking on much more levels of meaning that, for me as an artist, become really fascinating.
Yeah, it's sort of, you're only limited by your own imagination, literally.
File size.
Oh, right, okay. There are some physical limits, okay.
So
always.
In terms of, yes, file size, but for JPEGs like this.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about the difference between a JPEG file size
and a video, for example.
Exactly, or a 3D build.
Yeah,
that's you know, all the textures. So JPEG, you're not going to have any limitations around the size of a JPEG. And triangle count. So if you're creating something, if anyone's familiar with video games, you have something like a high poly video game, which you know you can have really well-rendered curves and it seems more like reality.
Oh, okay.
And then a low-poly video game like Minecraft, where it's really blocky.
So it's like Minecraft versus The Last of Us.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right.
And so we're somewhere in the middle, and so you have to make those choices depending on how many triangles you're going to use.
Okay, so let's talk about actually, curating a show. Are you trying to make the work flow as you might in a 2D space?
Yes, I come from both the tech world and the traditional art
Mhm.
world, and it's exactly the same curation process in terms of choosing a work, but with much more of an understanding about the vision of the environment itself. So art galleries can kind of change the colour of their walls.
True. With some effort.
And they can create informational flows using
Yeah.
text, but we can create these completely immersive spaces.
Mhm.
So what we tend to do is create a theme, have an idea of the kind of space that we're going to explore, or we use the work to inform the space, whichever way it comes. And then from that, we put an open call out, and I usually bring people together to curate because it makes a lot of sense for me to bring in some other perspectives about how
get some
things
collaboration.
work. Yeah.
And most people presumably are viewing this with a headset. Is that right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No. So Decentraland's interesting is it's like a game. So you download it onto your PC.
Right.
You don't need a headset. You don't need any special equipment. You need a
Cool.
PC that can run games.
Yeah.
But if you've run Fortnite on your PC,
that's good enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's cool. That's good to know. So let's talk about this photography collaboration with DIY photography for a second. So the theme of that was touching grass, right? Can you talk about the theme and how that's been interpreted?
Oh, so the theme.
Sorry.
The theme is it's a good question because the theme is a tech meme. So
explain the meme first.
So the meme is that most of us spend too much time in front of our computers. We get riled up. We get levels of stress, and that can translate into trolling and negative comments on forums, all of these things.
Okay.
And so a response to that often is to say, go and touch grass.
Yeah.
Like, go calm down, center yourself, have a walk, and get off your computer.
Just be in the real world for a bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Usually because you're behaving a little bit.
A bit extra.
Extra, yeah.
Okay,
So,
that's interesting. So that was the theme of this exhibition.
So this is the theme because for a lot of us working in virtual worlds, it's understanding how actually virtual worlds can augment human experience rather than take away from it.
Yeah.
A lot of us have the kind of dystopian Hollywood version.
Yes, the Ready Player One.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Life is terrible. We use virtual worlds as an escape, and life can get even more terrible because everyone's hanging out.
All in our pods.
Exactly. So that's not the vision in terms of what virtual worlds are really.
No, it's actually, Decentraland's actually quite a joyous space, really, isn't it? It's quite I hate to use the word frivolous because I think it does have a depth to it, but on the surface it has that kind of very joyful kind of crowd and vibe.
Yeah, very much so. It's not a dystopian vibe.
No.
and people hanging there are there because they want to make genuine human connection. It's not about distancing themselves. We have a really diverse community, and as I say, a lot of people use it as their first springboard into exploring creative things. We've got many stories of people that came in as crypto kind of speculators, and now are 3D artists.
No way.
Because they had that exposure to what is possible. They started learning the tools and made connections with people that are already doing it.
Yeah, and I have to say, if you're already used to using, photo imaging software and that kind of thing, you've already got a little step up towards that. So how can people get involved, say, in future?
Yeah, so first off, come and see.
Cool.
We'll
drop the link.
Awesome. Art Week installations are going to be there the whole year.
Oh, so, amazing.
It's obviously really great to come during Art Week because we have loads of free workshops.
Cool.
The community's amazing. So if you have any questions, you just ask them. There's a chat box, so everyone's chatting away.
Oh, cool.
It's really welcoming. So if you want to meet the space and understand it, coming during the event is excellent. And it's on for 4 days. You can drop in and drop out, totally free, don't require any special equipment.
Nice.
But if you miss it, you can just jump into the Art Week website and access the installations, claim wearables. There are loads of free wearables to jump in and explore with. And from that, what we're going to be doing is we've always had communities outside of Decentraland, but we've never had a tool to link people inside, apart from chat and apart from people meeting at events.
Okay.
And so we've got something called Art Community coming up, which
cool.
is something you can join in world, and then you get updates on upcoming art events.
Interesting.
Things that you want to be part of.
Okay.
So a bit like a mailing list, but 3D in a virtual world.
So, of course, because why not?
Exactly.
Who wants boring old emails anyway? It's so like year 2000.
Exactly. So instead of opening an email, you can jump into an event, meet people, talk about what the curation is, and it allows us to keep in touch with the artists.
This really could be the future, of art and photography and
I think a part of the future. Yeah. I really think there's a chap called Sam Hamilton, who was the creative director of Decentraland before I came on, and he likens it to the future, the cinema in kind of 1910.
Oh, okay. So really early cinema.
Yeah. So working out how this works for just the media in general. And so for a lot of creators, it's really exciting to be part of that.
Right.
And photographers to be part of that dialogue and that conversation.
So you'd be helping shape like a pioneer almost.
Absolutely. Because it's all new. Cool. Everything we're doing, each art event, there's new things that have not been done before, new interaction, really trying to push this form in ways that are great for artists and also kind of the ethical conversation, as we say, like the dystopian aspect of like bringing people in that want to use this to something really
positive. Yeah. And is that because the tech's evolving so quickly? Yeah.
It's really the pace of change is really great right now. It's been a massive learning curve about how people can access this most easily. There's been a lot of conversation about headsets. They haven't really taken off yet.
Not to the degree, no. I mean, could be the cost as well. Apple, hello. But yeah, they're clunky as well. I mean, it's not very streamlined, is it? And like you say, it's a very individualized experience.
Yeah, from my perspective, it is. A lot of our users actually have a laptop up with Decentraland while they're working.
Oh, that's cool.
So you sort of have this interaction going on while you're doing maybe your paid work. It becomes much more of a social thing you kind of have on, than something you have to dive into and really stop everything else to be part of.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. It's been really interesting learning more about it, and we'll drop the links below in the comments. You can go and have a look, have a little play around in the gallery. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.